Hello everyone, welcome to the English class. Today, let's read the lesson Shakespeare Retold, Julius Caesar. So, this lesson is an extract from Act 3, Scene 2 of the drama Julius Caesar, written by William Shakespeare. You might be familiar with the name William Shakespeare. He is usually considered the greatest dramatist and poet of English language. He is also the national poet of England. He was born on 23rd of April 1564 and he died on the same date, that is 23rd April 1616. Okay. So he has written a lot of plays and he has written lot of sonnets and poems. So there are no official documentation about his birth record and all, but then depending upon the documentation of his writings, people believed that he was born on or near April 23rd, 1564. So that is acknowledged as Shakespeare's birthday, and on the same day we celebrate the English Language Day. So Shakespeare started his own theatre company along with a few of his business partners, and it is called Globe Theatre. So that is the theatre, that is the place where he released all his important drama. There are a lot of drama written by William Shakespeare. Some of them fall into the category of comedy, some into the category of tragedy, and some tragic comedies. So the drama that is given in your syllabus, Julius Caesar, is Shakespeare's one of the greatest tragic plays. Who was Julius Caesar? Julius Caesar was a Roman general and politician who named himself as the dictator of Roman Empire. So he ruled during the time of 44 BC, and it is about the life of Julius Caesar that William Shakespeare has written this drama called The Tragedy of Julius Caesar. So, the actual play will be a little bit difficult for you to read. So, in the syllabus, you are given a prose adaptation of his play. That too, only one act, one scene from Act 3. That is particularly Scene 2. So, in this drama, and in this part of the drama, you have three characters mainly. That is Brutus, Antony, and a few citizens of Rome. So Julius Caesar is not seen in the play. He is actually assassinated. He is killed, murdered by Brutus and his team. So Brutus, in the beginning of this drama, explains why he and his partners of crime have killed Julius Caesar. So, Antony, another character of this drama, Antony is a Roman general and a close friend of Caesar. So, he is very close to Caesar. So, he also enters in the midway, and then he tries to explain the importance of Caesar. So his speech, that is Antony's speech, is considered a landmark. Okay, so Antony has been allowed by Brutus and also other conspirators to make a funeral speech for Caesar. So Antony is very careful. He cannot say something against Brutus and his teammates. So he is very careful about the vocabulary that he uses. He is very careful to use particular words. Like if you observe the play, you can see Antony calls the conspirators, that is Brutus team, who have decided to kill Caesar, as honorable men. Okay, so they are not honorable, we know, because they have killed the emperor of Rome. So they are not honorable, we know that. So it is a kind of sarcasm that Antony uses here. So Brutus, in the beginning of this scene, explains that Julius Caesar deserved to die because he was very much ambitious and he considered Roman people like slaves. But that is only the perspective of Brutus and his conspirators. So they say that Julius Caesar was greedy for power, and that is why he became so ambitious and he considered his position more important than the people of Rome. So people believe Brutus. Okay, they believe whatever Brutus says, and they are ready to follow Brutus. They want Brutus to be their leader after Caesar. That is how they are being persuaded by Brutus. But when Antony comes and when Antony makes his speech before the people over there, they understand the real situation. Okay, so let us move on and let us go and read the adaptation extract from Act 3, Scene 2. This is the prose adaptation that you have in your textbook. The following is a prose adaptation of a short extract from Act 3, Scene 2 of William Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. So who is Julius Caesar? Julius Caesar was a Roman general and politician who was a dictator, who declared himself as a dictator and who was killed, who was assassinated by his own men. Okay, led by Brutus, who is a Roman and who is a main person involved in the assassination. So the characters who are there in this part of the drama are Brutus, who was a Roman who helped murder Caesar. Second character is Antony, and third character are citizens. Okay, third is not a single character. You can find a lot of common people of Rome listening to both Brutus and Antony. They have come to participate in the funeral ceremony of Julius Caesar, of their emperor Julius Caesar. So, this part of the scene begins like this. Be patient until I have explained everything. So now Caesar is dead, and after the murder, Brutus comes and speaks to the common people of Rome. He talks about what made him kill the emperor, what made Brutus and his team of conspirators to kill Julius Caesar. So he is asking the Romans, asking the common people of Rome to be calm, to be patient and listen to him. Romans, countrymen and dear friends, be silent so that you can hear my reasons for killing Caesar. Please do not make any noise. Please be calm. We all know that Caesar is not with us now. So, if you are silent, I can explain to you why I have killed our Emperor Julius Caesar. Believe me, for I am an honorable man, and keep in mind the respect that I have earned so that you can trust what I say. So, understand that I am a respectable person. So, you keep that respect in your mind and then listen to me. Criticize me wisely. You understand why I have killed Caesar. Don't criticize me blindly. You think about the reasons behind my intention, and then only you decide, you judge me, and be attentive so that you can judge me correctly. So, you be attentive, you listen to me very carefully so that after listening, you can make a wise judgment. If there is any friend of Caesar's present here, I assure him that my love for Caesar was no less than his. So, people, you understand that I loved Caesar a lot. So, it's not that I did not love him, but there is some other reason for me to kill that person. So, please listen to me and please try to understand my intention. If he demands to know who I opposed Caesar, here is the reason. So, if you want to know why I have turned against Caesar, then here is the correct reason. Please try to listen to that and please try to understand that. It is not that I loved Caesar less than anyone else, but that I loved Rome more than everything else. It is not that I did not love Caesar, but what is the reason behind my intention of killing Caesar? It is because I loved our country Rome more than the Emperor Caesar. Which would you prefer, that Caesar were alive and all of us die as slaves, or that Caesar were dead and we live as freemen? So, what do you want? You want Caesar to be alive and then all of us commoners living like slaves? Or do you want Caesar to die and all of us living like freemen? So, he is trying to convey that Caesar was very much powerful and Caesar did not have any good feelings for his people. So that is what Brutus is trying to convey the people. I weep for Caesar because he loved me. I rejoiced in his good fortune. I respected his bravery, but I killed him because of his ambition. I always have respect for his positive qualities, for the good qualities of Caesar. But then, why did I kill him? I killed him because of his ambitious nature. These are the tears for his love. Even I feel like crying because a person dear to my heart is now dead. Okay, so I have tears, and these tears are for his love, for the love of Caesar. Joy for his fortune, honor for his valor, and death for his ambition. So we have given happiness for his luck, for his fortune, and we have given respect for his valor, for his courage. But then, why did we give him death? We gave him death because of his ambition, because of his ambitious nature. He considered himself, Julius Caesar considered himself more important, his power more important. That is why we had to give him death as a price for it, for the ambitious nature. Is there anyone present here who is so degraded that he would like to be a slave? So he is asking the common people of Rome, do you like to live like a slave? Will anybody like that kind of a life? No, nobody will like. If there is such a person, let him speak up, for I have hurt him by killing Caesar. If such a person is here, then I have done something wrong. But I am sure that nobody would love to live like a slave. So you understand that I have done something right. My action is not wrong. Whatever I have done so far is correct, and my intention of killing Caesar is also correct. You understand that, people? That is what Brutus is trying to convey to the commoners of Rome. Is there anyone present here who is so wicked that he doesn't love his own country? Is there anybody like that here? Who's very much crooked, who's very much wicked? He doesn't have any love for his country. No, nobody is like that. If there is such a person, let him speak up, for I have hurt him by killing Caesar. I'll wait for that person to reply. He pauses. Okay. Then all the citizens, what are they speaking? You can see here all in capital letters. There is no such person here, Brutus. So everyone agrees that such a kind of wicked person is not there in the group of commoners. All a thing for the welfare of the country Rome. Then I have heard no one, says Brutus. I have not done anything to Caesar than you yourself would not do to me. The details and justification of his death are all recorded in the capital. So I have properly given the reasons. I have recorded all the justifications of his death in the capital. The praise he deserved has not become less, nor have his flaws. So I understand that Caesar had very good qualities, but he had certain bad qualities as well. So for those bad qualities, for those flaws, we had to punish him to death. So that should be given importance. That has been overemphasized. Antony enters with Caesar's body. So people are convinced now. People understand why Brutus killed Julius Caesar. So they are able to understand his intention, and by that time, who comes in? Antony, who is a friend, who is very dear to Julius Caesar, to the Emperor Julius Caesar, enters the room with Julius Caesar's body, dead body. Here comes Caesar's dead body, mourned by Mark Antony, who, although not involved in the murder, will receive the benefits of it. He will receive an equal share in the commonwealth, just like all of you. Having said this, I now leave, just as I thought it to fit to kill my best friend for the good of Rome. So will I not hesitate to kill myself when my country requires me to sacrifice my life? So what does Brutus tell about Antony? He says that Antony is not directly involved in the murder. Antony doesn't know anything about the murder. He didn't know anything about the murder, but he will surely receive the benefits of that act, because he is also going to receive an equal share in the commonwealth. So this Brutus and group believed that Caesar was not ready to give the commonwealth to the people of Rome. So that was one of the reasons why they have decided to kill him. But the reality is not that. We understand it when Antony clarifies all those things to us. So what does the commoners say? Live Brutus, live, live. Now they are all support to Brutus. They are convinced that Julius Caesar is not good. Julius Caesar was ambitious, and that was the main reason why Brutus and team killed him. First citizen. We'll accompany Brutus to his house like a grand hero. So Brutus has become a hero here, a grand hero. Suddenly he has become a grand hero, and people want to accompany Brutus to his house. Second citizen, we'll make a statue of him and place it near those of his ancestors. Let Brutus become our ruler. So they are very happy to make Brutus their leader, their ruler. Fourth citizen, yes, let's make Brutus our king, and he has all the good qualities of Caesar, because he inherits all the good qualities of Caesar, and he doesn't have the bad qualities of Caesar. So we'll make Brutus our king. We'll bring Brutus to his house with shouts of joy and victory. But then Brutus interferes and he says, "My good countrymen, allow me to go home alone. And because I ask you, stay here and pay a respect to Caesar." So the commoners completely forgot about Caesar's dead body lying there. Brutus reminds them to be there and then to pay their last respect to Caesar. I have given Mark Antony my permission to say a few kind words about Caesar. So Brutus gives permission to Antony. Let him convey his last words about Caesar. Brutus leaves the scene. First citizen, everyone remain there. Let's listen to Mark Antony. Now, Mark Antony is going to speak before the people. So, let us be here and let us listen to Mark Antony. Third citizen, let him climb onto the platform. We listen. Noble Antony, climb up. Antony. Antony starts speaking. Because of Brutus, I am indebted to you. He climbs onto the platform. Because Brutus has given permission, I am able to speak to you. Otherwise, I'll not have got this chance. Fourth citizen. What did he say about Brutus? He says that because of Brutus, he is indebted to all of us. It's best if he doesn't speak badly of Brutus. So that is how the situation has changed. Brutus has committed a crime, but then people realized that that crime was done for the benefit of the country. So all of them made Brutus their hero. Antony, kind Roman, silence everyone. Let's hear Antony speak. Friends, Romans, countrymen, please hear me out. So this is a landmark speech. And it starts with the salutation. Friends, Romans, countrymen, please hear me out. I am here to bury Caesar, not to praise him. So what does he say? What does Antony say? I am here to bury Caesar. I am here to bury the dead body of Caesar, and not to say something good about him, not to praise him. The bad things people do live on post death, but they take good things with them to their grave. So what does Antony talk in general? He says that if a person does any bad thing, then people will talk about it for long, but he might have done so many good things before. People tend to forget all of those things, and the person will definitely take those kinds of good deeds along with his death. And so it is with Caesar. Noble Brutus has told you all that Caesar was ambitious. So even in the case of Julius Caesar, the same has happened. So Brutus has told that Caesar was ambitious. If that is true, it is a dreadful fault. And dreadfully has Caesar paid the price. So Brutus has informed you all that Caesar was ambitious, and if that is correct, then Caesar was a bad person. With Brutus and other man's permission, for Brutus is an honorable man, just like them all honorable men. So all the conspirators are honorable. Even Brutus is an honorable man. Actually, Brutus is not a respectable person because he killed the emperor of Rome. Antony is using honorable men sarcastically, not in a direct way. I have come to speak at Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, loyal and kind to me, but Brutus says that Caesar was ambitious. I have known Caesar for a long time, and for me, he was a good friend. He was very loyal and he was also very kind to me. But then, see that person, that honorable Brutus, what does he say? He says that Caesar was ambitious. He brought back many captives here to Rome, and massive ransom payments filled our treasury. Does this make Caesar seem ambitious to you? Caesar has fought many wars. He has brought lot of wealth to our country. Does that make Caesar ambitious for you? But if Caesar was ambitious, then Brutus is an honorable man. You also, at the feast of Lupercalus, an important festival of Rome, 3 times I offered him a crown of king. And 3 times he refused. So during the Lupercal festival, during the time of the Lupercal festival, Antony offered the crown of king to Julius Caesar 3 times, but all the 3 times he refused. That doesn't make a person ambitious. So, had he be ambitious, he would have rightly taken the crown. He would have rightly taken the position of the emperor, but he hasn't done so. Yet Brutus says that Caesar was ambitious, and surely he is an honorable man. So even if Caesar rejected his throne many times, Brutus considered him honorable man. So, do you think Brutus? Do you think what Brutus said is correct? I am not saying this to disprove Brutus. I am saying this to tell you what I know. So, I don't want to oppose Brutus. I just want to tell you whatever I feel. You all loved Caesar once, not without reasons. So, all of us loved Caesar once. Now that, what reason stop you mourning him? So, now that Caesar is lying dead here and nobody is mourning for him, nobody is crying for him, it seems that judgments fled to brutish beasts and men have lost ability to think. It seems that you don't have brains, you don't have the ability to think, you are just believing what Brutus has said. Stay here, my heart's with Caesar in the coffin, and I must pause until I get back. My heart is with Caesar. Caesar is lying in the coffin. So my heart is also lying in the coffin. I must stop for a little. I must pause for a little and then get back. He goes a little distance aside. Then he rests. By that time, the citizens start speaking. I think there is a lot of sense in what he says. So after listening to Antony, people of Rome understand that there is something important in what Antony has mentioned. If you think about it, Caesar has suffered a great injustice. So second citizen says that if that whatever Antony mentioned is true, then Caesar has suffered a great injustice. Whatever Brutus and team has done to Caesar cannot be justified at all. They have done wrong to Caesar. Third citizen, he has, hasn't he? I'm worried he'll be succeeded by someone worse. Fourth citizen, did you hear Antony? Caesar wouldn't accept the crown. Therefore, it is certain that he wasn't ambitious. So we know that Caesar hasn't accepted the crown. So he will definitely not be categorized as ambitious. He cannot be categorized as ambitious. So, if that is true, certain people are going to pay dearly for what they have done. Now, people understand that whatever Brutus said was wrong. So, we cannot believe Brutus and team like that. So we have to pay dearly for what they have done. We cannot just leave them like that because they have done something serious. They have done something wrong, seriously wrong. they have a realization. The people of Rome have a serious realization. If that is true, certain people are going to pay dearly for whatever they have done. Poor Antony, his eyes are red as fire because of how much he is crying for the death of Caesar. So, Antony is the only person who understands Caesar properly. So, Antony has been mourning, Antony has been crying. That is why his eyes are red like fire. There isn't a more noble man than Antony in all Rome. Now, the people, the common people of Rome, understands that there is no other person in Rome who is very much loyal to the country, who is very much loyal to the emperor of Rome, that is Julius Caesar. Okay, so even if the conspirators and Brutus make it clear that they committed this murder for the good of Rome and in order to prevent an autocrat emperor, people are able to understand the reality listening to Mark Antony's eloquent speech. Okay, so Caesar's corpse is there, and Antony giving due respect to the remains of Caesar starts his speech with the much quoted friends, Romans, countrymen. Okay, lend me your ears. That is actually how it starts in the original Shakespeare's play. So, with his speech, he deftly turns the public opinion against the assassins by actually manipulating the emotions of common people. So, in contrast to the tone of Brutus' speech, there is a method in the rhetorical speech of Antony. He reminds them of the good Caesar, of the good person Julius Caesar, and whatever good he had done for Rome. He talks about the sympathy of Julius Caesar to the poor and his refusal of the crown at the Lupercal festival. And that is how Antony questions Brutus' claim of Caesar's ambition. Caesar is not ambitious at all. We understand that he is very much generous and very much open to help the people of Rome. Caesar's lifeless body is lying there, and people definitely have to show some feeling for the ruler who had been very generous to them. Roman citizens now understand how bad the conspirators' action had been. That's all. Thank you, students. Thank you for listening.